I said from the beginning that this was a emergency solution that would be temporary. In terms of us managing this facility, to the minute that that's no longer needed, then we obviously would break down to the facility. And so Alligator Alcatraz fulfilled the role that it was designed to serve. Today it now has 0 detainees. It has helped remove many, many dangerous people from the street and get them out of not only the state of Florida, but the United States of America.
Breaking news, Alligator Alcatraz is shutting down permanently. Governor Ron DeSantis and U.S. Border Czar Tom Holland are right now at the Immigration Detention Facility in Collier County.
They say Alligator Alcatraz has fulfilled its mission to house detainees and prevent them from returning back into our communities. We know last week detainees were moved out of Alligator Alcatraz to other locations ahead of hurricane season, and now we know efforts to break down the facility are underway. Governor DeSantis is still taking questions live right now at the facility in the Everglades. Let's listen in.
We built the C-43 reservoir, C-44. We did the stormwater treatment for the EAA reservoir. We've now assumed federal projects with the southern reservoir, and we're doing those with federal funding. And then the federal government's working on the main EAA reservoir. And it's been a massive success story, probably the most significant environmental success that the state of Florida has ever had. We did things that people didn't think would be possible to do, particularly on this timeline. And that southern reservoir now, EAA reservoir, is scheduled to be completed in 2019. That's 5 years earlier than the projection under the Biden administration. And part of that was because of the president, his support. Part of it is Florida stepping up to handle these projects. So we've really left no stone unturned about how can we move the ball forward on Everglades restoration. So in the process of this over the last 6 or 7 years, there were discussions about if this strip, if you just took everything out, would that meaningfully aid Everglades restoration? And I think the view was that it really wouldn't make a huge impact. It would be costly. So I'm not sure that that's something certainly our administration is going to push. It was fine the way it was. We had to spend money on making sure that this area was self-contained. And so they'll say, oh, they spent money on sanitation. How do you spend? Well, it's because it was all self-contained. So they're hauling waste every day. They were not allowing runoff into the local environment. They did a really good job of keeping this contained so that it didn't have, that impact on the surrounding environment, especially given what we've done to support Everglades restoration. And when this was proposed as a possible short-term solution, that was clearly one of my questions. I was like, well, what's that going to mean? And they were saying, no, here's how we do, here's how we contain. And they did. It did cost money to do that. But to me, I think that was an appropriate use of resources. I mean, I would much rather contain it, have to pay to do that, than to see runoff going in different areas. And so that'll be, there'll be other people than me that'll ultimately make decisions on that. But I can tell you, if I thought somehow uprooting all this concrete would be the key to, really good Everglades restoration, I would support that. That's not really been, I think, the view of a lot of people that have looked at it.
I can't hear you, sir.
The TPS decision that the U.S. Supreme Court, just 6-3, about they can allow, so the president has the constitutional authority to make it temporary and not permanent.
It's the right call. I've been doing this since 1984. TPS has never been temporary. That's why the whole statute exists. Temporarily give people protection while the country's in turmoil or after they suffer a hurricane. But the problem is no administration have had the guts to actually follow that statute. President Trump has the guts to follow the law. So temporary means temporary. When the condition of that country gets better, they need to go home. There are millions of people staying in line, want to be a part of the greatest nation on earth. And that goes back to my early point. People say, why do you arrest them if they're not criminals under 10 years? Because they cheated the system. They may have been here 10 years, so let's remember, when you enter the country illegally, it's a crime, and they're doing that, putting themselves in front of the line while millions of people are taking their tests, doing their background investigation, paying their fees to be part of the greatest nation on earth. So temporary means temporary, and I'm grateful for that decision. that's going to be a question for ICE. I mean, this just happened, so I'm sure they're developing plans along with Secretary Mullen how to implement that. But again, a great decision. Temporary should mean temporary. That's the way the law is written. I'm glad that the Supreme Court recognized that.
Yeah, and I think.
So you were just listening in to that press conference happening right now at Alligator Alcatraz, where they announced that they are going to be breaking down that site after detainees were recently moved to other facilities.
Yeah, and we just found out from our reporter earlier in that press conference, they mentioned it's going to take between 7 and 14 days to break down Alligator Alcatraz in its entirety. It took about 10 days to assemble in the first place, and it actually opened on July 3rd of 2025, meaning that this facility was open for just under a year, almost a week under a year.
And if you're just now joining us, they did mention the governor says that the state fulfilled its mission to support with immigration efforts, and this was supposed to be a temporary facility. Some other notes right now, they were just answering a question about a Supreme Court ruling, a win for the Trump administration involving the temporary protected status for migrants. So in a 6-3 decision today, the Supreme Court cleared the way for the administration to go ahead and bring back a policy limiting how many migrants can seek asylum each day at the U.S.-Mexico border. They're answering some questions about that right now and just also talked about some environmental concerns related to Alligator Alcatraz.
And we'll keep you updated on what's said at this press conference. You can find all of that information on the Gulf Coast News app. We're going to toss things over to weather now.